On the tee, 80th U.S. Women's Open Championship at one of Stevens Mai's favorite places. Erin Hills were welcomed in by one-time major champion Hannah Green. Hannah, thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess where we start is with this venue. Have you had a chance to get out, play a couple practice rounds? What do you think so far?
Yeah, so I've seen all 18. I arrived on Saturday night, which is very early. I don't ever usually get into a championship this early, but I knew it was going to be a beast of a course, so I wanted to see it as many times as possible. It's playing long. The greens aren't too firm just yet. Fairway's a little bouncy, but yeah, it's a lot of long irons in compared to what we're used to, and it's a lot of blind shots, so I feel like the more you play, the easier it kind of gets to trust those lines. There was one hole, my caddy yesterday on 11 was like telling me, you need to hit it out here, and I was like, really? Like, it just doesn't feel kind of right, but sure enough, he was right. He did all the work, but it's going to be a really good week. I think we're all super excited and happy to be here, so we'll see what happens.
What was the buzz for this championship venue coming in, and what has the reality been like for you since you've gotten a chance to walk all 18 at this point?
Yeah, I mean, everyone said it was going to be a tough venue, which it certainly is, and I think we've been pretty fortunate with the weather. It hasn't been super windy just yet, but it is probably longer than what we typically play. There are some short gettable holes for sure, and it really does depend on which way the wind is blowing, I guess, but it kind of has lived up to what I expected, and I'm sure what most girls have felt, but it does feel different in the sense. I feel like every time we play US Open, it's it is thick, rough, don't get me wrong, but the trees, like just being wide open, there's nothing out there, so when you're out there, you're out there, so that's probably the only thing that doesn't feel like a normal USGA event, but it's been really good playing out here.
As we talk with Hannah Green here on the tee, 94.5 ESPN. So you mentioned the blind shots, no trees. Does that make it tougher for you to try to figure out, okay, what exactly is it I'm aiming at?
Yes, 100%. There's a couple of holes where it's like, straight at the porta potty. That's your line. There's a couple of aerials out there, but there's also like a couple of mounds where they meet. So it's not like, that tree or that smaller tree. It is kind of hard to pick your lines, and making sure that we have the right aerial or the right mound is kind of the thing that we'll be figuring out in the practice rounds. But I mean, it's beautiful. I really hope that people come out and watch. We've got the best players in the world all here this week, so hopefully there's a lot of spectators.
You've won a women's PGA, you're a 6-time winner on the LPGA tour. What is it going to take to win on this venue this week?
Yeah, I was saying in an interview earlier, you always want to hit fairways, obviously, but I think people are going to miss greens. You just want to make sure that you're missing them in the right areas and giving yourself the best chances to make sure you're not making doubles, bogey at worst, obviously, but it really depends on, I think, what the wind direction will do. Yesterday, I hit a bad drive on the 17th. I hit it in the heel, but I had 3-wood into a par 4, so I was like, oh, but it depends on what the wind's going to do, so we'll see. I think it's just making sure that you don't get too ahead of yourself. You're going to make those bogeys, and maybe trying to capitalize on the chances where you do make a birdie.
Hannah Green joining us here on the tee as we get ready for the 80th playing of the U.S. Women's Open here at Erin Hills. So Steven mentioned you won the PGA back in 2019. Your U.S. Open record's gotten better, and the last couple of years you've been able to finish in the top 20. Yeah. What about your game has been able to translate better now to U.S. Opens as you've played more of them?
Yeah, I think when I first came out on tour, I wasn't very long, so that really made it difficult when it comes to major championships. When I won KPMG, it was kind of a surprise, and I was one very short hitter, but also not very accurate. So I think, as I've got
a great combination.
Yeah, really good. But I putted my ass off, so that's fine. But I think, just when you want to win major championships, usually the person that wins makes a lot of putts. Putting is always important, no matter what week it is. So I think making sure that I give myself the best opportunities to make a holeable putt. But hitting fairways, hitting greens, just playing boring golf. It's hard to do, but I'm hoping that's what I can
boring
do.
is good in this game. A lot of people want to be sexy, but boring wins a lot of events.
100%.
You mentioned making putts. They've closed the course down to public play, much like they did for the Men's Open back in 2017. How are the greens rolling with really very little play on them up to this championship?
Yeah, no, they're really true. A couple of the local caddies were saying some of the holes, there's not actually as much break as you may read. So I think it's important trying to actually go out there and play as much as possible as versus doing a lot of practice. But they're rolling really nice. I played Sunday morning, and since then they've definitely quickened up. it feels like a little bit slow uphill, but then downhill, some putts you just can't even go for the actual hole because it's just going to take the slope and keep going. So I think they're at the right pace now. I feel like they might get a little bit firmer as the week goes on, but it depends, again, with this rain forecasted, how much we're going to actually get. So yeah, it's looking really good, and I think everyone's really, happy with how the course is looking.
So, Hannah, you're from Australia. You mentioned you came to this venue a little bit earlier than you usually do in preparation for a new course that you haven't seen. Have you been to Wisconsin before?
No, this is my first time. I've technically driven through Wisconsin because I went to Michigan for an Epson Tour event back in 2017, but I have not actually stopped in Wisconsin and played any golf or ate any cheese or anything like that. So.
Well, we have great golf here.
Yes.
It was kind of leading into my next question of, is there something you feel like you have to do to experience being here that also, works alongside of your preparations for the golf course itself?
Yeah, well, I am a big fan of cheese, and I actually was in New York recently and did a pizza tour, so a lot of Wisconsin, was mentioned with a lot of the dairy products and things like that. So I was like, well, I was kind of hoping they maybe would have it in dining for us, but I might just have to go venture and find some myself, and I'll be the test of it. But unfortunately, it's actually been such a long week already. Even though I did get it here on Saturday, I haven't really had the opportunity to do anything else. So, and I am also flying out 6 a.m. on Monday, so I don't really know if I'll have the chance to see Wisconsin or Milwaukee. But maybe if they hear this, they might bring something into dining.
And maybe you can delay your flight if you celebrate your trophy come Sunday night.
100%.
So you said you've gotten to play all 18. What's your favorite hole? What's the toughest hole?
I think the 9th is actually kind of a favorite. I think it could cause some carnage, though. It's only a short par 3, but depending on, again, the wind and where the pin position is, it actually might not seem as easy as what people would, from the outside looking, might be. I actually think 18 is quite tough with how the green is to the pin on the left side. It's like you'll have a wedge in, but then it's like, does it spin? Like, will it bounce? It's actually quite a tricky hole, and whether you want to be aggressive or not, that'll be obviously what happens when we play it. But I think it's going to maybe catch some people out. It won't be a typical par 5 where you're just expecting to make a birdie. So I think that'll be good for a last hole.
Pro tip, as somebody who's played this golf course many times, don't go long on 18.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Learn from experience. It's not the place you want to be.
I did not hit a chip shot from there because I will not be going down there.
That's a good way to prepare. Don't even bring it into the space. Love that.
Absolutely love it. Hannah, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the time. Best of luck this week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you for the time.